Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be reading chapter 9, 10, and 11 for the book, The San Francisco Earthquake in 1906. So let's get started reading. Chapter 9, It Had to Be Wilkie. Leo had seen Fletch dive out of the door, but not Wilkie. He must have gotten caught in that shower of bricks. His heart pounded. Just a few minutes ago, he would have prayed for Wilkie Barnes to get buried in a heap of rubble, but now Morris rushed over and started grabbing Vicks off the pile of debris. Leo and Morris watched in shock as Wilkie rose out of the rubble, tossing bricks aside like they were puffs of cotton. Is Fletch alive? He asked. He got out, Leo said. Wilkie sighed in relief, but then he looked around. Then where is he? He asked. Where's Fletch? He left, Morris said. He didn't try to get me out? He just took off without me. Morris and Leo looked at each other. Neither wanted to say the truth, that Fletch had left Wilkie for dead in the rubble. But Wilkie figured out this. His expression suddenly changed to fury. He picked up a brick and hurled it towards the pile of rubble that had been the salon. He did it again, and again. His eyes blooded. He grunted and growled like the rabid dogs that roamed the alleys. And then finally Wilkie slumped down to the ground, out of breath. He looked up at Leo and Morris. His eyes, set deep in his chubby face, were filled with confusion. His lips quivered, and Leo thought he might burst into tears. When I was at work camp in Seattle, a man came and said I should play football, Wilkie said. There's a fancy school up there where rich kids go, and he said I could go there for free, and he'd teach me everything I needed to know. But I wouldn't go because I never leave Fletch, and I went to jail because of Fletch. I stuck by him all these years, and now where did he get me? Under these piles of bricks. Leo had no idea what to say, but Morris said, Come with us, he offered. Wilkie looked at Morris and then Leo. Leo got the idea that Wilkie had never really seen them before. He wiped the tears from his face and took a deep breath. He picked him up. We should get your gold back, he said. Fletch was gone, Leo said. Never believe Fletch, Wilkie said. He has it, and I know where he went. Leo looked at Morris. Let's go, Morris said. Chapter 10. Wilkie led them back to Market Street. Wilkie was sure that Fletch had gone back to the abandoned house where they stashed their loot. That way, if the police got us, he explained, they wouldn't find it. They zigzagged through the crowds of people. Most of them were heading away from where Wilkie was taking them, and no wonder the damage was worse than farther south as they walked. One boarding house was split in half. Another boarding house was swallowed by the earth almost to its rooftop. Trolley tracks were twisted like pretzels. One of the block men were trying to hoist a horse out of a hole in the street. Leo tried not to look at the collapsed buildings, but he couldn't stop thinking about who still might be inside. The fires were worse down there. With every step of the smoke was thicker. The air was hotter. Leo's lungs started to ache. They were about to cross Market Street when a fire wagon clattered up and stopped in front of them. The two huge horses pulling the wagon wheezed and snorted. Sweat soaked their bodies. Two firemen jumped off, dragging a thick hose. They hooked it up to a hydrant, but only a trickle of water came out. A man in a bloody-stained shirt rushed up to the fireman. Please help me, he begged. Everything I own is in my house, and the fire is moving towards it. He pointed across the street where the roof of one house was on fire. Next door, men were leading horses out of a stable. You're just going to let the city burn? The man exclaimed. The firemen said nothing, but their eyes were really weary and scared, told the answer. San Francisco was burning, and no one could stop it. The firemen rolled up their hoses and climbed onto their wagons and continued down the street. Leo knew they should get out of here, Morris was right. But suddenly Morris gasped. "It's Fletch!" he cried, pointing across the street. Leo saw him. He was carrying a small tattered flour stack. "Fletch!" shouted Wilkie. His voice boomed through the smoky air. Fletch turned to one look at Wilkie and then bolted down the alley next to the burning houses. To Leo's amazement, it wasn't Wilkie who took off first after Fletch. It was Morris. They both disappeared into the alley. Leo and Wilkie stared after them, but they had barely crossed the street when the ground jolted with another aftershock. People screamed and ran into the street. There was a deep cracking noise right above them. A piece of a rooftop from the burning house crashed onto the sidewalk. Garbage from the ground erupted into flames. The alley was now blocked by a wall of fire. Smiled up at the sky. A cool rain was just what he needed, but a few raindrops fell. Meanwhile, lightning sliced through the sky, and then kaboom! A lightning bolt struck dead a tree and turning it into a burning torch. More lightning bolts shot out of the clouds, stabbing the ground like burning spears. Soon there were fires everywhere. A powerful wind fanned the flames. Within just a few seconds, Grandpa was stuck in the middle of a ring. The heat was so strong that the metal on his belt started to melt. Grandpa had no idea what to do. He got down to his hands and knees. Down low, the smoke wasn't as thick as he could see, and he could see where he was going. He almost didn't see the stream until he crawled into it. It was practically dry, just with a few inches of water covering the muddy bottom. But there was enough so Grandpa could lie down and soak his clothes. He took his currant knife and drenched it in the water. He put the soaking currant knife over his head, and it filled his lungs with air and dashed through the flames. A second later, he came out the other side. His pants and the back of his coat were on fire. He rolled into the dirt and put them out. Then he ran for his life. When he staggered back into the trading post, nobody recognized him. His beard and eyebrows were singed off. His face was black with ash as his fingers blistered red. But once again, his quick thinking and calm had saved him. Covered, Leo told him. On the count of 3, take a deep breath and run as fast as you can. Leo filled his lungs and put the blanket over their heads. 1, 2, 3. Leo and Wilkie rushed into the fire. Chapter 12. So that's the end of chapter 9, 10, and 11. So in the next video, which is going to be the last video, we're going to read 3 more chapters of I Survived the San Francisco Earthquake. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye!